So we are standing in what was, so this is a tour of the past of the past. Because the Geffrye Museum is under construction at the moment. It's now called Museum of the Home. It's been under construction for 2 years. So what we're seeing now is the history of the Geffrye Museum, as well as the history of the theme of the museum. So we've got double history going on here today, which I think is actually quite kind of cool. It's just come to me. So this is no longer. So anyway, so we're stood in the entrance. I don't know whether you have you guys ever been to the Geffrye? Obviously, me and Jess worked there, but have you ever been before?
No, I had the opportunity to go a couple of years ago, but I wasn't able to make it. So this is quite a nice opportunity to finally see it.
Yeah, for me, I literally was looking up this museum. I've got it bookmarked for when lockdown closes for a visit, because I didn't know about it. So I'm really excited. Yeah.
So it's a tiny, just give you a quick, before we walk through, it's old almshouses. They were built by Sir Robert Geffrye in 17. Now, if I get my dates wrong today, it's because I haven't done this for a couple of years, so forgive me. So Sir Robert Geffrye, he was once upon a time Lord Mayor of London. In fact, he was twice Lord Mayor of London. When he died, he left a legacy. It was like the thing of the time for gentlemen of that stature to leave legacies of charity. So he had almshouses built in his name. So he had the elderly poor living in these almshouses, and they're really beautiful. There's a recreation of them at the Geffrye, or I think it's still going. But I did all the tours, like the tours for them a couple of years ago, went through all with the tour guides. So so the museum closed down as an almshouse in the 1900s, at the beginning of the 1900s, because it got too dangerous in the area of Shoreditch. So but the reason that the building was saved, because there were other almshouses along the Kingsland Road where this is. You can kind of, I think you might be able to see at the bottom of the bottom left of your screen, you've got Hoxton. Can you see Hoxton Station if you look at the map? So there's that yellow road going through. That is the road, like if you go south, going straight into London and out. And this area, when Sir Robert Geffrye built these almshouses, was actually countryside, all countryside. It's only really a mile away from the centre of the city. But in the 1900s, the ladies that then were the elderly poor, they were all like ladies, governesses. They were moved out because the area around Hoxton, Shoreditch was just so incredibly like criminal activity, really, really dodgy, and the ladies were taking their lives in hands, literally walking out the gates. So then it was like, well, what's going to happen? Because there were almshouses along the Kingsland Road. There were 3 in total. 2 of them got knocked down, the 2 either side of the Geffrye, but the Geffrye got kept because the gardens. It was like the greenest space in the whole of the area at the time. It was beautiful gardens outside the front of the Geffrye. So anyway, it got saved. It was saved. William de Morgan, the guy, amazing lustreware tile designer, he was one of the people that helped save it. It was like the arts and craft movement, and then it was made into a museum. So in 1904, if I'm right, it was like 200 years later. Thanks, Jess. So inside are it's a story of home.
Oh no, it'd be 19. I want to say, because it would have been 100 years when we had the centenary celebration, so it would have been 1914.
14, that's it.
Yeah.
It was 90. That's it. Thanks, Jess. Yeah, 1914. That's right. So in fact, it was 1714 they were built. There we go. So 1714, 1914. Like I said, forgive me on the dates. So now the museum, as we go through, or then 2 years ago, the museum is about a chronological order of the history of home from 1600s through to, when I say modern day, it was like 1990s was the final room. It's set in the pitch of the middle classes. So it was decided to do that because you can work historically either up, upper classes, aristocracy, working class from the middle class standpoint, and the majority of you've got to think of people like doctors, merchants, lawyers, that kind of level of living. So and very beautiful pieces of furniture recreated, recreating the living rooms. So anyway, we're stood in the entrance, or what was the entrance. So okay, should we go?
Yeah.
Are we interested? Okay, so let's do. It's exciting actually. So this is a chair gallery. The original museum was about furniture because the local area was based around furniture making. So anyway, so you went through this tiny corridor.
It was very hard when you had to bring the arts and crafts trolley to the learning rooms. And if somebody had a pushchair, you had to go all the way back.
This is why the museum's been done now. They've got new ways of, like, they've gone down into the basements, they've gone upstairs. But like Jess said, you had to get everything down those corridors. You had school groups sitting in front of, in the space here in front. So you're constantly squeezing past, you're constantly going, sorry, but just intimacy, the intimacy of it was always great fun. So this was the first room. How do I turn this baby round? Oh, there we go. Look at that. So this is the first room, or was the first room recreation in the museum. It's what can you see? Come on.
What's that on the mantelpiece? Those metal things. What are they?
So they're pewter plates. So for eating, but also one of the things that they used to do was use it to help bring light into a room. So the pewter was nice and shiny. They're really particularly fine examples. We had some in our handling cupboard that were a bit duller, but when the pewter was really shiny, it helped bring the reflection in the room.
Well, that makes sense with where they're positioned. Would they have been positioned there as well? So the lights hitting and reflecting,
from the fireplace, which is huge. Yeah, isn't it? It's really nice. Axel, anything take your interest? I can't guarantee I can answer everything, but
strangely, one of the things that struck me is the grating on the windows. Bit of an odd thing to pick up on, but
no, not at all. If I was doing tour guide training with you, we would focus on that, and you would do loads of research about it, and then we'd talk about it, because everything, like whatever's interesting to people, it's bound to be interesting to to somebody else. That's the way I work. So it's about subjective, like working, and it's then you kind of do the hard facts, like work on the hard facts as well as intermingling your interest. But I can't think of the name. Jess, like casement windows, are they? But they're basically, the windows are tiny, panes of glass, I think, were separate. To even have windows at this time would have been uber expensive, ridiculously expensive. And this room is actually before the Fire of London. So if you can see all the wood in the room and the small windows, imagine if you've either been to Stratford upon Avon, or seen in Shakespeare Cottage. This is Shakespeare time. This is like, this is the way I think about it, like Shakespeare time. And I can just kind of imagine him sat at the desk scribbling away. So this is a room which it's called a living hall, and at this time the master of the house would be in the big chair, like that would be saved for the big chair or the special guest that came round, and then you'd have the stools around the table. Very nice piece of like heavy, I'm thinking oak, it's got to be oak furniture, and you'd find that this is where the servants would sleep in this place as well. Everything would go on in this room. There's not really much privacy, not for the family. The family and the servants, like, all working and living together under one roof. And I think this is done in a way that downstairs is the shop. If I remember, there would be a shop downstairs, like a merchant's house, and then upstairs you would have this big living hall. And as you can see, you've got a huge, great chimney. Huge, great fireplace.
Sorry, would they have eaten in this room? Is that a dining table as well?
Yeah. It's just imagine absolutely everything going on, and
it's quite similar to kind of a contemporary open plan because that's a very similar arrangement to the one that we've got actually, with the kitchen knocked through. We're sort of all living and, you know, working with our different laptops and computers.
Well, on washing day as well, the washing would be hung up in this room if it was winter time. Sometimes they've done that. So well, there we go. You know,
Yeah.
it's typical British kind of all together scenario. So that's anything else on that? Oh, rush matting on the floor. Which is amazing. Obviously, what I used to love saying, then there's no hoovers at this time, and you can't really see it here, but they used to have this this spring, it's got a pot called a sprinkler, and it's made of like clay, quite large, with little kind of holes in the top, and the maids would add rosemary to it and water, and the rosemary they would sprinkle the rush matting, and that would help with any sort of fleas or any sort of vermin. It would kind of put them off. It was like the early day disinfectant. So that's so no hoovers. Anything else?
Is that a pot on the table, or is it an ornament?
That's a Bellarmine jug. It's
right.
It's a beer jug. I think it's a joke on well, Bellarmine, a priest. We used to again have one in the collection. I can't remember exact facts, but a Bellarmine jug, and that's very, very trendy for this time. It's a sign of the times. Cool. Okay, so let's go back. So let's carry on along the corridor. Oh, hang on. It's going to start pressing the wrong things and they'll be like, what's going on? So here we go, squeezing past everybody with our trolley. So this room here I'm not going to talk about, but it's after the Fire of London. Just quickly, after the Fire of London, very, very different type of architecture. It's William and Mary. Since I work at the Historic Royal Palaces as well, so I know quite a lot about William and Mary, as in King and Queen, who jointly ruled together. I'm not going to talk about this. I'm going to go on to the next one, because the next one is really cool. They're all really cool, or they were all really cool. It's really weird talking in the past. I'm such a present and future person. So are we okay? Can we all see this? Yes. So previously similar type of architecture. So Stuart architecture, where you have as you can see now, the even Axel with the bigger windows compared to your lovely ones that you liked earlier on, and like again. This is like a townhouse, so you would have your merchant shop downstairs or whatever, doctor practice or whatever it was, and then you'd be living upstairs, and mainly because it would be quite stinky in the streets, so you lived up in the first floor to kind of get away from the smell. Sorry to be graphic, but that's kind of quite interesting, I find. So you've got these beautiful windows. The room before, room 2, was green. You had the green fabrics, but here we've got like a new dye, the red dye, which has become very fashionable. And what I really love about this room is that there's loads of trade, things about trade in this room. So what's
that thing in the corner? That sort of, is it a corner cupboard high up?
Now this is always a fascination for people. It's called a japanned cabinet. So this whole room is about trade from all over the world, and a japanned cabinet, it's not from Japan, the lacquer work originally. It's actually a technique that was created by, I believe, English craftsmen, could be wrong, so it's a long time, to create the same lacquered effect. And inside is the tea set that you see on the table. So the tea set on the table, oh gosh, here we go. The Cow Mao tea set. Do you know anything about that, guys? Have you heard that before?
No.
The terminology. So there's this really famous story of this merchant ship that sunk off the coast of Vietnam and near a place called Cow Mao, and it sunk with all of its wares, and 250 years ago ish. and it was found by modern day divers. And at the bottom, for the haulage to help keep the ship stable, they used to pack in all of the crockery, and then the tea was above it. The tea was above it in boxes, so the tea had all dispersed, obviously. So the fish had a nice cup of tea when that went down, and all the other surrounding animals and creatures. But they found these tea sets, and they had barnacles, tiny little barnacles on them.
Wow.
And we have a collection in the handling. So they are tiny little tea bowls. Originally, to show the fact that you've even got these in this middle class living room means that these people are very wealthy because they're buying tea. And let's imagine that this place is actually a tea merchant. That's how they managed to get hold of it. So it's tiny little tea bowls, no handles, green tea. In the green tea would have been the original thing that they would have drunk, very small amounts. And also, I think, if I'm right, you can see the tea caddy here. Can you see? There's a tea caddy with a lock and key, which would have been kept by the mistress of the house, or the housekeeper. But that also would have been locked away in the japanned cabinet because it was super ridiculously expensive. And just to give you an idea, it would take roughly a year from the minute you went to the merchant. They walked into the merchant shop downstairs to get the tea, for it to come from China to back here again. So you'd really have to not just do your Asda delivery. you've really got a forward plan.
Wow. And would they have drunk the green tea just neat as it is, because it's quite bitter, isn't it? It's quite an acquired taste. Was that?
Yeah, so it would have been like that. It was just
and
very.
Would they have put sugar in it, or?
Not as far as I know. Not as far. I think that comes. It's, again, sugar's very, very expensive, being imported at this time. I'm not 100% sure. Not 100% sure. But the dregs of it probably would have been drunk again and then drunk again, and then it would have gone to the servants. So that's a beautiful tea set, and some little like petit four on the table as well that have been like probably sugary petit four. But I think the highest sophistication would have been having it like completely pure and no additions. What else? The chair. Oh, do you know what? I've said that I've got all these wonderful things going on in these rooms, and I'm thinking, what else? Well, the tea is the most beautiful. The chairs are imported as well. I think they're mahogany, so they're imported too. In fact, like I said, the japanned cabinet. But I'm actually going to bring in a little bit of a nod to slavery here, because like all these things are coming from places where there were the colonies. And in fact, Sir Robert Geffrye, not that I ever really researched this, but probably made some of his money in regards to slavery too. So we never really had a tour around that with the Geffrye, but this room would be a kind of a good representation of it at the time. Shall we move on?
I was just going to say.
Go on, Gaxel.
Also, notice candles.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yes. So yeah, super expensive. You knew if you were in a wealthy house as to what kind of candle that you would have had. So these are beeswax candles, and but if you were if you couldn't afford the beeswax candles, then you would have made tallow candles, which was from sheep lamb's fat, or the fat of an animal.
Yeah.
And I would say that even though they have these gorgeous ones here, it would be for visitors, they would still be using the tallow ones, kind of in evening times, because of it being super expensive at the time.
And they used to use those candles in the almshouses as well.
That's right. So we used to do. Usually when I'm doing this tour, I have a whole lot of objects that remind me of everything as well. And it really, like, we have got a tea caddy that you can have a look through, because it's got usually 2 containers and a little mixer in the middle. And just thank you for Axel, because then we have 2 candles, the honey candle and then the tallow, and then I always get people to guess what they're made from. So yeah, so these people were definitely privileged, and you would burn it, as you can see, this quite low. And on some evenings, if they have like members evenings, if they had members of evenings at the Geffrye, they would burn the candles for visitors to see what it's actually really like. And now you can see we have also, there's mirrors coming into play. We're starting to get the idea of identity and enlightenment. Just let me
can I ask you about the mirror that's across the fireplace, because that almost looks like it's been made. Was that what would have originally been there? It looks like it's been almost made for that space.
I don't know, but they do. A lot of the objects are originals.
Okay.
They are originals, and
it's quite unusual, isn't it?
It's absolutely stunning. It's again for reflection, like you said earlier with the pewter plates, but it's but also it is for looking, actually like a looking glass. I'm just thinking, yeah, 1745. So this living room is 1745. So this, we're talking just when the British Museum is being built, which is another place that I work in. So this is the late age of the Enlightenment, very much so. People, merchants going out, buying stuff, things being imported in. Kind of, I don't know why I've got oranges going on in my head now. Sugar, everything is being imported, and that's it. Yeah, the mahogany of the chairs that's coming from the kind of colonies also being imported with sugar. So there's all sorts of things coming in from different places. So it would have been a good thing to do some sort of talk around slavery with this room, actually, thinking about it, but been a bit more controversial and topical. Right, shall I move on? Let's right. So funny not walking. Just even like walking and talking and not walking, I find really weird, because I use my body all the time. This is one of my toughest lockdown moments at the moment. So there's a little chapel here. So this is again an original feature of when they were almshouses, and the residents who lived in the Geffrye Museum would have to come to chapel every single Sunday. And there's this whole list of rules. There was a chaplain that lived in the almshouses when it was, and a matron as well that would look after the residents. It's like a nursing home, but with religious connections. And so they would have to come, and there was even a set of rules of you had to keep your place that you had so clean, like religiously clean, and there was no swearing. If you swore, there was fines. You would have got fined. You really had to live, although you were living in a really beautiful space, very lucky to be in this space. There was lots of rules and regulations around being in it, but still the way it's painted, it's absolutely stunning, isn't it? Yeah,
gorgeous. And the floor is beautiful.
I know, it's just it's so gorgeous, so gorgeous. Right, so we're going to go, that was the space where we had lots of books and art books and libraries, and people would sit there and just hang out, and I sometimes did storytelling in that room and all sorts of things going on. So it's more specific. So let's keep going. So now we're getting to the Georgian era. Do I show you that? Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, honestly, I could talk. I haven't done this for so long. I just want to walk along the corridors. I used to walk along the corridors and I'd be so grateful that I worked there. I can't tell you. I just used to love it, the feeling of being there. So so this is the early Georgian period. And you've got lots of pairs of everything. It's about symmetry. So this is 1790, and so lots of kind of symmetrical things. Can anybody see anything that they like? And I try and talk about it.
Are they playing cards on the table, or are they just?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. So so yes, the family is set up to play cards and do a little bit of what I can see gambling in this room. And they're having a little tipple as well, but you can see the here you've got the pair there. It's all about symmetry, and that's it, the grand tour. This is like a reflection of when the gentlemen went on the grand tour. So they took, went across Switzerland, France, all the way to Italy, and had the most raucous, fabulous times, and then came back with all inspiring ideas about what to do. So so I'm thinking Palladian architecture, which is the front of the British Museum. You have the portico, and the pillars. So that kind of Palladian style. So the height of fashion is the neoclassicism. That's it at this time. Everything's about that. Very rigid society, rigid rules, rigid society. And you kind of play by it, or you're out. It's not one of my favorites. I can take you to my favorite. Anything else in?
Well, just the wallpaper and the carpet, it's very striking. We've got so much more pattern suddenly, haven't we?
That's right. Yeah, it's more, we're getting into more decoration and design of the home, more luxurious, more luxury, and handcrafted things. I just love the curtains, just
Yeah.
They're stunning, aren't they? And at the bottom you can see like some sort of fringing. It's very, very beautiful, and also very feminine. This room, it's a very, very feminine room. It's very nice. So let's carry on. I'm not sure we're going to get through the whole. We might get the up until the 20th century.
It's quite interesting to see how much change has occurred since the first room, where everything's very hefty. All the furniture is huge. It feels quite stuffy, and then slowly things get a bit more ornate and delicate, and a lot more open, I think.
You're absolutely right. As you go through time, it feels like things are less harder to do, or no, you're absolutely right. And even in the home, having the servants like living in with you, or at this point you're starting to get more separation of rooms. It's actually the next room, because like bedrooms aren't particularly a thing. Let's just get this is
There's
my...
also more evidence of leisure.
That's it.
You didn't get any evidence of any leisure time, really, did you, in the first room?
Not I think, unless you're super duper wealthy.
Yeah.
You've got your, you have your gentlemen. They kind of earn so much money from their merchant businesses that they're not working. They're gentlemen. They're just work. No.
God, this is amazing.
Whole bygone era. Well, this is it. This is the room as I walked down the corridor for my interview at the Geffrye Museum. And I'd never been there before. I did a bit of research, but I'd never been there before, and I walked past this room and I'm just like, bam.
Oh, look, you can see the window from this angle, because the window's gorgeous.
There we go.
I really wanted to see that.
There we go. So we are talking...
Is that a chess set?
Yes.
Wow.
That's why I didn't talk so much about the last room, because I love it, but it's a bit too stuffy for me. It's like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't want to be in that space. The picture of the woman in the wall in the last room, she's got a mantua on, the huge dresses, you can't move. It's just everything is just completely rigid. But this just is much more relaxed. I think it's 1820. You can actually breathe in this room. So silk, beautiful silk curtains. This is about interior design. This is about interior fashion. the hand painted printed wallpaper, the colour blue at this time. This was the fashion, the Regency blue. The chess set also turns into a sewing table. So you've got this furniture that manoeuvres itself around, and you can tell how excited I am about this, can't you? You can. Well, I love something, but the furniture you've got a chess set that then turns into a sewing box underneath. So there's like multiple uses of everything going on. And there we go. That's better. It's a better look. You've got the fire dogs in the fireplace again, like stunningly decorated. The mirror is like convex. So and again with the lights, but it's just, I want it. It's stunning. I love all this design. And then on the sofa,
a little footstool.
You've got can you see Mr. Darcy on the sofa right now? Because for me, he's there. He's there. I'm taking a turn around the room. And just adjusting the curtains. It's a bit like the Sex and the City series where Mr. Big is on his sofa and Jessica, what's her name, Carrie's like walking around adjusting things. That's how I imagine it. Modern day. I always bring it up to modern day. So oh yes, and also absolutely stunning. Not going to touch anymore. Is but here you've got silhouettes. So this silhouettes, just love silhouettes. And I actually did a workshop based on silhouettes once, where I had a projector and a light, and then children like projecting their image onto the wall, drawing it, cutting it out, and then I also did another one where silhouette cutters, where you just literally have a friend sat opposite you and you cut the profile of their face really quickly. And it's only, I think when I did the research, this is a while ago now, there's only like 5 actual professional silhouette cutters in the country that go to like have weddings and will sit there and do this. So we challenged ourselves to get it right. I always ended up with a really doing big noses on people. I can't help it. It's just absolutely, for me, this era, probably because of Jane Austen, it's just so alive for me. I love
gorgeous, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's beautiful. So, and then we have the Victorian room. So early Victorian. So we've got Victoria there, in all her beauty and her glory. But now we're talking very different. How do we feel about this room?
It's sort of clashing colours, isn't it? It's all coming at me. I mean, it's only the walls that save it, really, isn't it?
The theory behind, oh, look at that. You can even see the dates at the bottom. I didn't need to think about the dates. I shouldn't have had a disclaimer. 1870, there we go. So actually, yeah, it's fairly early Victorian. Mid-Victorian. One of the reasons behind the clash and the colours and the beauty of the room before, and then now we've got like everything in your face, is apparently according to the Industrial Revolution. So these middle class living rooms are all based in London. So the idea of them dealing with this progression happening at such a rate that the Victorians wanted to add every single thing that they could think of from nature into their homes. So it's almost like a case of suddenly like psychologically dealing and coping with this, living in London at this time where everything is expanding. So just behind the museum there was had the railway, so that was coming in. It was really nice. So we stood there and I could explain. So you've got the Kingsland Road, like I said, if you can see at the bottom. You've got literally the railway behind the museum, and then just if you carry north up the Kingsland Road, walk about 10 minutes, you've got the canal. So you're actually surrounded, when we stand in the museum, that's what I love, that kind of experiential feeling. You're stood there surrounded by the Industrial Revolution and lots of factories in the area of Hackney too. so I can kind of see why. There's, you know, the carpet's flowery, the chairs are flowery, you know, everything, like everything is just kind of flowery curtains. it's just that need to grip onto the feeling of being natural, I suppose. Well, that's one of the reasons. I
was just going to say, that's one of the things I find most interesting about looking at things like this. It's the changing idea of what nature is, and you compare it to the first room. There's a real sense that they're kind of shuttering themselves away from something awful outside, really. Whereas, you know, when we reach the Industrial Revolution and things start to take off in the urban setting, nature becomes something ideal. It's something that you want to get back to.
Mm.
Yeah, that's nice. I like that. In the first room at Christmas, they have a Yule log. They put a Yule log in there, which you would have burnt for all of the days of Christmas, and all of their beautiful outdoor like ivy and mistletoe is brought in.
Yeah.
By this point, you would have had the Christmas tree, and it would have been on the table, and it's the first time it was introduced. So it's a much more, kind of organized organization of nature.
Yeah.
In comparison to, like you said, the first room. Yeah.
It's also got a less formal feeling. So I want to say cozy. It's kind of cozier than the previous rooms, but it's kind of, for me, it's just like completely overdone. You know, you kind of.
Yeah. It's kind of a little bit hoarder.
Yes. Yeah.
But you know, that's kind of, we think of that as a negative term, but it is actually, that's Victoria there. That's Victoria. And these are amazing. These nature domes. I did many arts and crafts sessions about nature domes. So again, you're encapsulating nature into a glass case, and there's two reasons for that. One, because of dust, and you would have these new the gasolier, so the gas lamps are coming in at this point, and candles too. So that would caused a whole load of like blackened soot on the ceilings. This room would have been a heck to clean. And then so you're to dust, but then also just the encapsulation of nature and quantification. I'm thinking like Charles Darwin. So these are actually little birds from South America, tiny little birds in this one here, and then there we've got like different dried flowers. It's very much about capturing it all, sticking it into something, and then claiming it as yours. I suppose that's the empirical thinking, maybe. Just what's.
And is it the first time we've had a musical instrument in the room? Is that a piano?
No, not first time. Not first
Okay.
time. There was they have. I think there was something in a violin in the room too, but we just didn't see it. But yeah, playing the piano, being accomplished, the ladies, you know, sewing, you know, it's all about accomplishments. So yeah, so very, very nice, very nice. And then anything else on this room? So much. I almost just want to get out. If I'd ever had to go on lockdown in this room, I think
you'd go crazy, wouldn't you?
The one before. In fact, let's ask the question. Just so far, which room would you have gone on? If you could be in lockdown in one of the rooms we've seen so far, which one would you be in?
Definitely the one before. That was, yeah.
I'd go in the one before with the white curtains.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know my favourite's the next room.
Right. Okay.
Oh. Can I just say one thing is that the fireplace is tiny in comparison.
Yeah.
It's shrunk, hasn't it?
Coal.
Oh.
I'd say coal, because you can get a fiercer flame from coal, whereas with wood you need a lot more. You need bigger space. This is literally just popping into my head as I'm talking. So if there's any fireplace scientists out there who's going to watch this, they can comment, and then we can learn. I'm no expert on fireplaces, but I find it all fascinating. Right, okay. So this is the last room of the 20th century. Do you know what? There we go. But Jess, go on. Why don't you talk about it if this is your fave?
I just like it because I like the arts and craft movement, and it's very arts and craft.
Go on, tell us a bit more.
Well, that's all I really know. Like sort of pretty Morris designs, and I like the tiles on the fireplace, but I don't really know anything about any of the objects in this room.
What about you guys, Sonia, Axel? What do you think of this one? It's still Victorian, but late Victorian, really late Victorian.
Well, I like the I don't know how to describe it. Almost the border that's underneath the skirting on the ceiling. That's very nice.
Yeah.
And it seems a bit more uniform as well. It works with the curtains, for instance, rather than clashing with them.
Yeah. It's like moved. It's like the Regency style and grace, the room before, then the Victorians of everything together, and then suddenly like the next stage has been refined. This room. You've still got a lot going on, but it just feels like it's got more. I don't know. It's hard to say without offending, because like obviously that room before has a lot of thoughtfulness gone into it, but this just appeals to personally my sense of style and taste. And William Morris, never have anything that's not beautiful or practical. That's not the exact quote, I know, but that's what this is about. You choose the right things to be in your home, and everything is beautiful, but also like and all practical at the same time. And I love the idea of that. And like Jess said, the colors, it just all matches. It feels comfortable. There's a lot of orientalism in here too, so lots of nods to the Orient. I'm just trying to see if there's anything, and also this is a beautiful Arabic like chair, kind of Moorish table there as well. So in that, if you can imagine in the houses, with this room, for me, the gentleman has a long smoking jacket on, and he's got one of the little kind of hats, the Moorish style hats. I'm not talking of fez, although some did, and they would be smoking a really, really big pipe.
Are we thinking Sherlock Holmes?
I'm always thinking Sherlock. So yeah, I think so. It just has that extra beautiful edge, and uplifting, like the carpets, and yeah, it's just stunning. It's absolutely stunning. This was the restaurant. Keep going through. This was like the new wing. No, don't want to go that way. I want to go that way. New wing. Okay, right. This is Edwardian room, and yeah, okay. This is over here, the living hall. So no, is it the living hall? No, it's the hallway. So when you come in, it's huge. It's like a room of itself. This building is Queen Anne style. So again, like Jess said, the arts and crafts style. So you walk in, you've got a whole hallway. You can't see it, but there's even a fireplace in there as well in the hallway. So you're coming out from the outside. Oh, that's right. Just quickly, what I was going to say back to the aesthetic is that it's like nature has come back into play again, but in a beautiful way, in a respectful way. Like William Morris, that's how he worked. He was all about having nature inside the home as well, but not in such a way that the Victorians had done previously. And this is the same. It's like a real nod and a real respect for nature. So you're walking in, you've got this gorgeous, great space. You're kind of shaking your coat off if it's cold and rainy, and you're getting yourself like ready to go, and you're greeting people in the hallway. Whereas Victorian houses, you traditionally were really tiny little corridors going through at the beginning when you walk in. And then you've got the idea of the big chair again. You've got the Arabic style fireplace, which is like this gold, stunning, lots of nods to the Arabic aesthetic in this room, which I love. You've got your windows again, Axel, that kind of casement style. That's really, it's going to go on about your windows. Could be your expertise, you never know.
Yeah.
LED, whatever it's called.
Lead tracing? No.
Don't know. I was going to say piping, but that's Cluedo. So yeah, it's a beautiful, this lovely plate on the fireplace, which is really nice. The colour of the green, of the gold. You got this, and if you, I don't know whether you've ever seen the film Room with a View, which I watched the other night. So the Edwardian era is very much the Belle Epoque, like a lot of money before the war, the First World War. I mean, real luxury beyond luxury. Downton Abbey, just servants, masters. This always makes me think of the dresses. The actual the lampshade is the same as the outfits. So I would imagine wearing that. It's just so fabulous, and the fringing coming off it. And again, we've got nature, but nature done in this is Art Nouveau, so Art Nouveau style. So you've got tulip lights, but it's just tasteful. It's just very, very tasteful. Lots of green, like the plants. And this rug, actually, I remember because I used to storytell in this room a lot. Albert the Mouse story. It's really cute. I used to love storytelling in this room. I just have to be really careful because I gesticulate a lot. And then the rug, this is actually an original Irish rug, so I'd have to put like these cloths down before I started storytelling just to protect it. But yeah, very, very, very beautiful. Very beautiful. So that's so this is the idea of a pied-à-terre, 1930s. So after the First World War, before the Second World War, and absolutely gorgeous Art Deco design. So you've got all the different the kind of graphic design on the carpet, the graphic shapes. Technology's coming in more. There's central heating in this room. It's all the latest mod cons. Tiny little kitchen here. They haven't got the cocktail bit set up, but cocktails. Starting to get cocktails at this time. There's a Hollywood magazine on the table. Beautiful Hollywood style. This is German actually, but like figure face on the wall. The polar bear. People always talked a lot about the polar bear. It's really cute. You've got the wireless, you've got the gramophone, even telephone. There's a telephone there too. So it's really very much, this is your London residence, and you've got it all there at your fingertips. And you don't really eat much at home, you don't really host much at home, you're out in the town at the jazz clubs and having a gorgeous time. Actually, that's kind of my era too.
My favorite room so far, I think. It's gorgeous.
It is, isn't it? Again, it was done so well that you could just literally rock up and live in the room. That's how clever this is. Okay.
Oh wow, I revised my view. This is now my favorite. This is my new favorite. I love it.
But then it's
do you see that round table with the chairs?
Yes.
I'm sitting on one of those chairs now.
No way.
That I got for £10 in the local charity shop.
Oh man.
I'm not kidding. I'm sitting on it right now. I have it.
So amazing.
It's so handy because I can bring it up and down the stairs to do my video calls upstairs.
It's stunning, isn't it? And the way that they fit in around that table. There's 6 chairs, and that's not a big table. It's a Scandinavian design. We're talking early IKEA. Although the designers at this point would be like, that it's all been made modern and everyone's able to have it. But yeah, just atomic design. So we've got space race going on here. We've got the UFO lampshade. that one of our lovely volunteers, Sonny, used to talk about. That was his special topic. Great tour. He used to talk a good half an hour about that lampshade with all sorts of things included. We've got the beautiful, can you see the phone there, which is very iconic phone style that I had growing up. The tapering of the chairs like a rocket coming down, like really small. What else? The wood, the cleanliness, like there's possibility there's no cleaner or no daily coming in anymore, whereas the previous one you would have had the daily come in to help have a little clean, even though it's not that big a place, whereas this very much, you know, you're starting to get rid of the idea or the need for servants. So so this is about cleanliness and light and bright. It's got like double height ceiling idea. Yeah, what do you think? What do you think?
When can I move in? I just love it. It's totally the kind of, you know, style I would, if I could afford. Oh, look at that telly. Oh my goodness.
Oh wow.
Gorgeous.
I thought you might be into that, Axel. That was one of the first designs. So the first TV broadcast was 1953 for the Queen's coronation. So that this is a later model, something star. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. And we had, so we used to talk about that, and we had all like Radio Times and magazines and things to do with the coronation, which was really, really cool. Yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time. It's a good era, and a lot of the generation, the slightly older generation that used to come to the Geffrye, if we were doing different tours, they would really relate to this room because a lot of the furniture, a lot of the style is the style that they lived in. And this here, this is called the ladder rack system, and this is so expensive, but it's so beautiful. I always like covet it online. I really want the ladder rack, and then you can get ones where there's a desk and it folds out. It's just cool. It's just really, really cool. It still speaks now. Like, I think it will always speak. It's that kind of era, that kind of furniture.
And it's really interesting because it's so light and airy, and it's a bit like, you know, the whole nature, the relationship to the domestic and nature that we've been talking about. This is like sort of feels like the ultimate paring down of that. Yeah. And there's still nods to it in terms of the materials and the colours.
Yeah.
But it's very, very minimalist now, isn't it? It's just
we've got
just
the plants,
gorgeous.
The plants going on again. We've actually got urns on the I think they're Cypriot urns on the curtains, interestingly. So we've got another nod to classicism there.
But it's all that kind of all the different natural woods that are on display. It's not just all uniform, is it? It's lots of different examples of.
That's right. Amazing. And then finally, finalmente, we have the very cool kind of urban loft space. It's got the Rothko, very New York, but you can look, how cool is this? You've got your kitchen under, you know, I'm sure the bed would get hot. But so cool, like 1990s style. So it's very, even now I love looking at Architectural Digest, which is a YouTube, they have YouTube videos where you can look, and when I see the New York loft spaces, it's just so cool. And that is very much Hackney. So this is based on Hackney, but you've got, if you see the TV, you know, and you've got the VHS, you can look at it and think, oh, modern, but then you start to really look at it and go, no, hang on a minute.
I think any like early 2000s cooking program seems to be based in this exact kind of kitchen area kind of setup.
What would
so
you class?
True.
What would you class as an early 2000? What programs, Axel?
So if you go on like I can't even remember what it's called now, but it used to be called UK TV Food. It's called something else now. And you'd see like Nigel Slater in one of these kind of. Usually making some kind of fusion cuisine type thing, and yeah. those chairs in particular seem
the
really
chairs
evocative of it.
Yeah. Do you know what? I actually don't like this room at all. I find it very a bit clunky. I feel like it's kind of we've lost the elegance. We've got the minimalism, but we've lost the elegance. To me, it's sort of like just a bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a bit cold. Exactly what you mean. It just feels cold and clunky and not very attractive, even though there's loads of space and light and all the rest of it.
I also think it's quite strange how sometimes stuff that's more recent can seem much more dated.
Yes,
because it's only slightly out. Whereas like the one from the interwar years with the kind of Bauhaus, modernist stuff, that looked a lot more futuristic. This
totally agree.
Yeah.
That's fascinating, isn't it? I love the chair. This chair here is a Balzac chair. I think it's like a couple of £1,000. It's really and it's so comfortable.
I think that's on its own. That's on its own would be fine. I think it's the rest of it is the sofa and the shelving and the.
It's friends.
Yeah.
Yes.
I absolutely love Nigel Slater. He's one of my absolute heroes, and the fact that you brought that up, some of those programs when they come on, and with Nigella there too, and he's got a couple of other chefs that I now follow that are back in the day, and just really cool, just so amazing. You're so right.
I didn't think I'd be bringing that up.
Well, I love the fact you did. That's brilliant. It's so relevant. This is also a very famous piece of art. I'm just thinking, I think it was called Flipper. That's really recalling my memory. But this table, it's got like flipper or fins. It's a very, very, very cool piece of furniture. This up here, it's Japanese style, where it folds out into either a chair or a table. So it's that kind of furniture that metamorphosizes. And again, like you can see, you've got the kitchen, and there's the dual-lit toaster. All of that kind of stuff that we still know and love now. Oh, and the wireless phone. There's a wireless phone. If you brought children into this room when we did school sessions and you start showing them all the old technology, they've never seen a CD, and you show them the big mobile phones. We had those in the handing cupboard. It's really good fun, really good fun to get those things talking. Yeah, yuppie, there we go, like Wall Street wallpaper, all sorts of things. So okay, that's it. So I hope you enjoyed it. So shall we go for a cup of coffee now? Should we look, this is nice. Should we take a little seat, or do we want to sit over by the window?